Hello there, fellow Monster Madness ghouls and goblins. You're currently hearing the voice of a girl with no name, and it's here with very, very clear intentions to sound the alarm. Before you listen any further, beware that frightful spoilers and deliciously explicit language lie ahead. For once you find yourself in the midst of those telltale bumps in the night and the haunting howls of host laughter and cinematic judgment, there is no turning back. Choose wisely.
Oh my God, it's Leo Bain! Leo, get back into the car! Get the cops! Get the cops!
Oh, there you are. I was worried about you.
Leo, the men from the third floor are here. They have weapons.
There's something wrong with your telephone.
Leo, the men from the third floor are here. The men from the third floor. Leo!
Get the cops! They're on the inside.
Get out there! Out there, Leo!
Great. I'll find them and we'll talk.
Leo, they have weapons!
Dad,
Leo, get back into
you're going the wrong way about this.
Hello, everyone.
This is the fucking greatest movie ever.
Welcome to Monster Madness.
Welcome to Monster Madness, a podcast dedicated to all sorts of creature features and beyond. I'm Erica, and you already heard these two assholes, but joining with me are two men who definitely would know how to stave off insane asylum escapees. We have Daniel Gwynn.
What's going on?
And Matt Stein.
That karate chopper, motherfucker. Wata, wata.
As always, before we get into the episode, we have some info to give to you. You can find Monster Madness on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as all other obscure social media platforms like Slasher, Letterboxd, Discord, and things of that nature. There are a few ways you can support our show if you feel so inclined. For the cost of nothing except a few minutes of your time, you can head on over to Apple Podcasts and give the show a rating and review. You know, it helps us. Do it.
Buy something from TeePublic.
That would be nice. Or become a Patreon. We have been getting a bunch of people wearing our shirts, which is really fun and exciting for us. I love it. But anyway, on this episode, we are disgusting. Oh my God.
Disgusting.
We are disgusting.
It's true. On this episode, we are discussing 1982's Alone in the Dark.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Sometimes. Aren't you?
No.
Not ever?
No. Maybe when I was a kid. I don't remember.
So, Alone in the Dark, this film premiered on November 12th, 1982. It has a runtime of 92 minutes, and it's rated R.
Ba-da-da. I stopped putting it in that it falls into like the horror and thriller
You
genre.
say that for every
because
episode.
they fucking are all horror and thrillers.
So stop putting that then.
Well, then I just did. I just did. I learned my lesson.
What's that face?
He's like, they're already fucking bickering. This movie was directed by Jack Sholder, or Shalder. I'm not sure.
Shoulder.
It's Shoulder without the U, so I'm going to go with Shalder.
Shola.
He also wrote the story along with Robert Shea and Michael Harpster. It has actually a pretty awesome cast, just like on paper. Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau, Dwight Schultz, Erland von Lith, Deborah Headwall, Lee Taylor Allen, who I think Dan had a little crush on, Philip Clark, Elizabeth Ward, and Brent Jennings. Yeah, that girl.
Which one?
The sister.
Oh, the hair off to the left or the right?
Yeah, the full-on 80s.
She was pretty hot.
I had 80s fucker.
What is an 80s fuck?
Lots of neon Bon Jovi playing in the background.
What's a 90s fuck?
Thick bush.
Oh.
90s, man, late 90s might be like a Chainwell and Jinkos.
Okay.
And you just like roll a leg up to gain access. No? Okay.
Well,
okay.
in the late 90s, I wasn't fucking, so.
In the late 90s, I was not cool. I mean, I'm still not, so.
You're cool to us. Some taglines to bypass Matt's coolness are, turn off the lights and watch if you dare.
Did they ever turn off the lights?
Yeah, Daniel, all the electricity went the fuck out.
There was a blackout in the city. Even I remember that.
But they didn't turn it off. The fucking lights just magically went off.
Yeah, there
That's
was
what I'm
just
saying.
a blackout, and they kept saying that it was going to be another
But that implies that they're turning
2
off the
Mile
lights.
Island. Daniel, they're
I'm
taglines.
Just telling you.
You're already being controversial. I got into one tagline. When the lights go out, the terror begins.
All right, there you go.
Too frightened to breathe, ... They're out, ... For blood. Don't let them find you. And finally, the movie that cuts like a razor. Didn't really get that one.
They didn't have a razor.
They had
Had
knives.
a knife.
They had a big knife, but whatever.
Bow and arrow.
Matt, what's the budget?
I don't know. It's not on Wikipedia.
Son of a bitch.
$500,000. Guess. That's a guess.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It was done pro bono.
Estimated $1 million.
All right. Estimated. Our first estimated Alone in the Dark budget of $1 million. I can see it. I could see it, though, especially with that cast and practical effects, maybe.
With the window shutting.
What window shut? Well, yeah, I mean, they had to rent the house.
It took me a large portion of the movie to realize that Dr. Loomis was in it. There was a lot of where I was like, is that him? Is that not him? Is that him? And then I finally looked it up. It's him.
4 years after Halloween, 1 year after Halloween 2, and a couple years before Halloween 4 and 5, and then finally 6.
Very, very strange. He just plays a doctor and everything?
Apparently, this was the other movie that he played in where he's a psychiatrist, but he's I feel like he's more insane and creepier in this movie than he is in Halloween.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I could see it because I watched it.
I turned to Daniel and I was just like, he is literally the most unprofessional psychiatrist I have ever seen. If he was real, I would literally call his board.
Oh, like when he's telling a lady to like rub her hands back and forth?
No, that one I could live with because he's trying to give her a mode of like how to deal with when she has hallucinations. That's fine. He literally gave a pyromaniac fucking matches. He's like, yeah, sure, we're out.
You wouldn't?
I like the one guy
outside.
that had the fucking bananas and he was petting them. Like they were a cat. Did you see that?
It was weird.
It was a weird film. But
It was a very weird film.
And yet we'll get into it. So the plot of this film. Psychiatrist Dan Potter is appointed on the staff of Dr. Leo Bain's experimental psychiatric hospital known as the Haven in New Jersey. His predecessor, Dr. Merton, has taken a new position in Philadelphia. Dan, his wife Nell, and their daughter Lila move into a rural, I hate that word. Rural home in the area. At Haven, Dr. Bain uses lenient security methods except with the third floor patients, whom he keeps contained with an electric security door. Yeah, this was interesting. He had some like sort of sensor on the windows. If you went to a certain, like if you went to go touch the windows, they immediately alarm went off.
And they dropped.
Yeah, metal sheets came down because Jack Palance tested that bitch out every night. So among them was former POW Frank Hawks, pyromaniac evangelist Byron Preacher Sutcliffe, obese child molester Ronald Elster, and a shy serial killer John the Bleeder Skagg, who refuses to show his face.
It's a cool fucking name.
What, Skagg or the Bleeder?
The whole thing.
John the Bleeder Skagg?
Yep.
You're not wrong. He was probably my, when I say favorite.
The favorite of the creeps.
Why
We're just thumbs upping.
All right.
Thumbs upping.
I thought I missed something. Angered by Dr. Merton's departure, the third floor patients irrationally blame Dan, believing he has murdered Merton and taken his place. Merton. I feel like I'm saying Martin wrong. Merton.
Martin.
That's a good show.
That was a fucking great show.
The four men make plans to kill Dan and retrieve his address from Dr. Bain's office. I kind of missed a little bit of that, like the whole Dr. Merton thing. Why they were out to kill Dan. I just thought they were kind of just out to kill. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Which is really good when you're reviewing a movie for a podcast.
The pedophile guy saw the letter that had his address and stole it.
His address?
His address, yes.
Address.
Dan's younger sister and these two's crush, Tony, who has recently suffered a nervous breakdown. You guys would enjoy the girl that has a nervous breakdown.
I like them unstable.
Arrives to visit. Dan, Nell, and Tony go to the local rock club while Lila is left with a babysitter named Bunky.
I thought the band was pretty good.
It was a good band.
Yeah.
Do not look up the band.
Is it a real band?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a question.
Okay.
Just in case you're like, oh, I wonder what that band was, because I know you.
I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie. I'm like, oh, some good old music.
A regional power outage occurs that night, rendering all electricity in the town ineffective. The security system at Haven fails, and the 4 men on the 3rd floor escape, killing the security guard Ray in the process, before killing another doctor and stealing his car. Now, Ray had talked to Dr. Potter, who is the main character of this film, earlier in the day, because he sleeps there. He stays there like 24/7. I think he is a full-on lives there guy.
What?
And the only thing that separates him at night from these, they're not inmates, these patients, thank you, these patients
yeah.
is, but you know, they basically are, especially if they're criminally insane, but these patients is the electricity, because his door is completely wired by it. He cannot shut it manually. It's a button, and he was talking about how that kind of freaked him out, that like that was his only feeling of safety was electricity. So it's a little bit of foreshadowing, even though if you read the synopsis of the movie, you know that the power goes out. So
Spoiler.
spoiler alert. They stop by a local strip mall that is being looted during the blackout and arm themselves with weapons from a sporting goods store. Now, while they're arming themselves with weapons, they also change out of their outfits, because they're all wearing like hospital-issued not gowns, but like shirt and top.
jacket.
Yeah, shirt and tops. It's all like blue and all this other stuff. So they get into normal clothes, so they blend in better. And the bleeder is currently wearing a ski mask, and he kills the first person that you see. Not a ski mask,
we got a
fucking
bleeder.
hockey mask.
I thought they killed the guy that was in.
Well, yeah, no, they
Oh.
kill. I'm sorry, they kill. I'm talking about like a civilian. They
Okay,
kill the
gotcha.
security guard, and then they kill the doctor and steal his car. The doctor, this random doctor, comes to the hospital to check to see what's going on with the patients, like a very good doctor would, and they kill him real quick. But when they get to the store that's being looted, the bleeder takes this garden shear and slices someone's throat with it, which was real gross. And
Ouch.
yeah, that would not be the way I would want to go. So the next morning, Preacher arrives at the Potter residence pretending to deliver a telegram, but Dan is not home. Our Daniel actually Googled, and telegrams are still a thing.
Yeah. You can still get one.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could see it.
I'm going to send you a telegram.
I'll burn it.
You're so fucking rude.
I think that somebody would come to your house and give it to you.
That was what's like. It was really creepy because, okay, first of all, Martin Landau is a pretty popular actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff, and I did not realize that his daughter was, I believe her name is Juliet Landau. She was Drusilla in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, no shit.
I had no fucking clue. All right, I'm gonna smack the shit out
Now you
of
know.
you.
I have seen it all, but I didn't remember that there was someone named Drusilla.
Yeah, she's
or that
in
it was
the.
this lady.
She's in the earlier season. She's Spike's girlfriend type deal. She was kind of
Oh.
she was insane. Angel like tortured her, and she's really out there. But I was a big Buffy fan, but I had no idea.
What?
You can hit him. It's cool. I actually want to right now, so you can do it.
But yeah, no, I had no idea that was her father, because they look nothing alike, first of all, and yeah. Did not know. Just the name Landau. But that's what I found super creepy about him, the preacher. He was probably one of the most, I mean, they're all unsettling in their own way. You have Frank, the POW, who's just like kind of the leader, but he kind of stays in the shadows a lot and lets the other.
Is this the guy that has the
Three.
nightmares?
No, yeah. I mean, we even talk about that. They don't even touch on that in the Wikipedia. This movie opens up in a nightmare. So that's weird. But Frank is kind of like the ringleader. He stays in the shadows and kind of like he lets the pawns go first. So he has the preacher, attack. They call him Fatty. It's not politically correct, but his nickname is Fatty, and you can guess which one he is. He's a very large man. And then you have the bleeder, who you only see in that one shot when the guys are looting, because you never see his face. So he kind of has them maneuvering their way closer and closer to the Potter family. So you have the preacher, who's like this really erratic kind of like skittishy guy. And then as soon as he puts on, like, because they kind of blow over this, that they run down a telegraph delivery guy on his bike. They like full on hit him with the car and steal his hat so that they can get to the Potter house. And he turns on this whole other like really friendly persona as he goes up to the house. So he can like flip this switch, which is really unsettling. At least I thought. The next morning, Preacher arrives at the Potter residence, pretending to be delivering a telegram, but Dan is not home. While Lila is at school, Nell accompanies Tony to a nuclear power plant protest where the women are arrested. They really gleaned over that. Like 1 second they're leaving the house and then the next minute they're arrested, but whatever. Lila arrives home from school and finds Ronald, aka Fatty, in the house, claiming to be a babysitter. After Nell phones Dan from jail explaining what has happened, Dan calls Bunky, who goes to check on Lila. She finds Lila asleep in her room and invites her boyfriend Billy there to have sex. Such a bad idea. And they were being super loud too, especially if you think, this kid is like sleeping in the room next to you. They were being obnoxiously loud. Preacher kills Billy by dragging him beneath the bed and stabbing him, which this scene pissed me off because Bunky stays on the damn bed while this huge ass knife is coming up through the mattress.
She's like, where to go? Where do I go? Where do I go?
Why the fuck wouldn't you just go out the window? I would be out the window.
I would just book it. Just run out through the door.
Well, she did, and that didn't end well.
Well, she took her time. She didn't run fast enough.
Yeah, no. One knife into the mattress and I'm out the fucking window. Because Billy wasn't doing shit with his high-pitched voice.
Oh, yeah.
He was. He's like, what are you doing? Like, he was like, I thought they were the same fucking person talking. So, Billy is dragged underneath the bed and he is stabbed to death while Ronald strangles Bunky. He lifts her right the fuck up and kills her. Lila awakens unharmed, but Ronald has vanished.
How do you think that little girl got out of that?
What? Being attacked?
Because he's a pedophile. I'm pretty sure that, I thought it was going to go into, the bad spot. And, oh, crap, he's about to
do something
molest
horrible.
or touch this girl.
I think her complete disregard of any fear of him completely took him out of his element. And he was just like, all right, I guess we're going to actually fucking color then.
Oh, okay.
Because she completely ignores him. And when he goes to grab her hand, she's like, don't fuck. She basically is like, don't fucking touch me. Who are you? Like, get away from me. She completely took the power away from him immediately.
Well, I'm glad the movie didn't go that way.
Me too. I am not a fan of when they go that route. Dan arrives home with Nell, Tony, and Tom, a fellow protester. Nell and Tony met in jail, whom Tony is attracted to. They find police at the house and Detective Barnett interviewing Lila about the missing Bunky and Billy. Lila explains that a man named Ronald babysat her. Dan recognizes him as one of the Haven's patients. Now, he is too nonchalant about this, about the fact that a patient knows where he lives. Not only just a regular patient, a patient from the 3rd floor, which is the worst fucking floor.
It was the 80s, though.
He also doesn't have any weapons.
Yeah, that was Dan's big thing.
Also the 80s.
If I was in that career, I would probably have a gun on me all the time.
But the 80s.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, honest, if we're getting truth time now, I have a degree in psychology. I was going to pursue to further my education. I wanted to work in a psychiatric hospital or be a social worker or something like that. But I actually deemed it unsafe because of just my stature. I didn't feel comfortable enough because I'm fucking easily overpowered. And hearing stories from his mom, who's a nurse, about just unruly patients and all this other stuff, I'll get punched in the face once and quit. Cause I don't have the fucking willpower for that. You know what I mean? People like that that you don't get paid enough. You don't get, compensated for any of that mental and physical and emotional stress. So my degree just sits and I host a Monster Madness podcast. Dan and Nell invite Detective Barnett to stay for dinner. While investigating a noise outside, which is so dumb, Barnett is killed with a crossbow by Frank, which is witnessed by the entire family. Finding the phone lines cut, the family barricade themselves in the house. Meanwhile, Dr. Bain arrives after unsuccessfully attempting to reach Dan by phone, but is hacked to death by Preacher with an axe. Dan attempts to reason with the men, assuring them he has not killed Dr. Merton. Ronald throws Barnett's body through a window, and Preacher manages to infiltrate the basement where he starts a fire. Dan bludgeons Preacher with an extinguisher canister before putting out the fire, locking the basement door behind him. This was my favorite part of the movie, though. It's towards the end because there's not that many paragraphs for this movie. So we'll talk about it more once I'm done. Ronald enters the kitchen and attempts to kill the family, but they work together to disarm him before Tom kills him with a cleaver. Dan flees outside to retrieve Leo's car. While he does, Tom's nose begins bleeding profusely, revealing his true identity as Skag, the fourth patient. Skag attempts to kill Tony, but Nell stabs him to death. Now, this was the creepiest part of the movie to me. So you have Tom holding Tony, who's having, throughout the attack on the house, she's having like her nervous breakdown is kind of flaring up again. She's hallucinating, like windows being open. There's like a random thing with like a zombie child. It was really weird. So as she's like hugging Tom, blood starts dripping down her face and she notices it but doesn't acknowledge it. So I was talking to Dan about it and he was like, why the fuck would she just sit there as like all this blood's pouring down her face? I was like, well, she's having an episode, so I'm assuming that she thinks that she's hallucinating it all. And then when she pulls back and sees like, oh no, his face is really fucking bleeding, she starts like open mouth kissing her and it's
nasty.
I can't with that. I cannot with that. That's so foul. So foul. But I digress.
I have a blood fetish.
You're disgusting.
A bloodish, if you will.
That word.
No.
I don't like it.
Fetish?
Bloodish.
Oh, bloodish. Okay. Either way, I was on board with your disdain for the word.
Okay. Hearing the screams, Dan flees back into the house. Moments later, Preacher bursts out of the basement, but Dan stabs him to death. Frank appears with the crossbow, proclaiming, "It's not just us crazy ones who kill." Dan pleads Frank to spare his family. Suddenly, the electricity is restored, and Frank witnesses Dr. Merton being interviewed on the local news station about the missing patients. Hysterical, Frank smashes the television and flees into the night. A short time later, Frank arrives at the local rock club. A drunken woman approaches him inside. He pulls out a pistol, pointing it at her neck. Assuming he is playing a joke, the woman laughs, and so does Frank. And that is a very brief synopsis of the movie. Comments? Questions?
I felt like we had talked about it for more than roughly a half an hour.
I really thought that the twist was going to be the other doctor was actually a patient.
Yeah, Danny kept saying that he thought that Donald Pleasance was actually like a patient and that it was all his like elaborate scheme. And I was like, that's not bad. That's not a bad idea, but
Because
I just
like
think
the
he's
secretary
weird.
was like also a patient.
Secretariat was in this movie?
What?
The horse.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll be here all night.
The girl that was like, he's invisible.
Yeah, they had a patient, obviously. In the beginning of the movie, they have a patient when Dr. Potter comes to the Haven for the first time who is going through the motions of her treatment, and she used to be a receptionist, so her most comfortable is when she's a receptionist. So they let her kind of rock that. But no, I thought that was a good call. I thought that would have been a good twist. Regardless,
I mean, it definitely had some odd spots. Like we did critique that doctor. We're like, okay, let's just give matches to the guy that likes to make fires.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an experimental psychiatric hospital, but I think experimental should be more like, I don't know. I don't think it should be like, yeah, give him the fucking matches. Give him what he's
I don't get why there
pyromaniac.
weren't bars on the windows either.
What are you talking about?
Even though the windows opened, like why didn't they have bars?
They did on the third floor at least.
Third,
Well, they did it by levels. Like I guess like the first like 2 floors are like non-criminal, non-violent patients, like the girl who hallucinated whatever was going on with something with her face, and he told her to kind of like wash her hands over her face and stuff like that to kind of get out of that. He's like, if you do this, then you know your face isn't going to melt off or whatever he said.
put your hands in a circular motion or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. It's to distract them out of the hallucination, which I was like, hey, that's an actually really good bit of advice from a psychiatric standpoint. But then
Pat your head
when
and rub your hand in a circular motion.
some people can't do that, guys.
I know. I'm inherently ambidextrous from playing the drums, so if I couldn't, I'd have problems.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about that.
I-
And then when like Byron comes up to Dr. Bane, he's just like, can I have a match? And he's like, yeah, for sure. Here, take the whole fucking pack.
Oh, you're the pyromaniac? Why don't you take 2?
Yeah. It's just like
Trees over there.
Exactly. And then he's just like swinging a shirt that's on fire. And then his way of calming him down because he goes up to Byron and he hugs him and whispers something to his ear. And Dr. Potter goes up to him and he's just like, "What did you say to him?" And he said, "If you don't stop this right now, I'm gonna cut your head off." He's like, "Sometimes you gotta put them in your place," and just kind of skadoodles away. And I'm like, he's the worst fucking psychiatrist ever.
He tells him what that guy saw in the dream, I thought, right?
No, he tells him he's gonna fucking kill him if he doesn't stop, swinging his flaming shirt around.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
I mean, he stopped him, but like that's not good. That's not helpful.
You tell me the same shit when I do something wrong.
Yeah, because you fucking deserve it.
You do.
Yeah, do.
And at that note,
23 skadoosh.
23 skadoosh. But so yeah, now that we have gone through the plot of this movie super quick, just because there is a lot to this movie. It has a lot of story.
I remember you saying that it was a slow burner.
I felt like when I put it on, I was like, okay, this has, before like all of the like the major slasher portions of it come out, quote unquote slasher.
the first 10 minutes felt like an hour.
Yeah, he was bitching like 2 minutes into the film, which he always fucking does. I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah, I didn't think it felt like it dragged or anything. Like stuff happened in what was the first 20, 30 minutes, and it kind of progressed from there. It was a steady pace, but I also watched the first 10 minutes before I had any coffee in me, so my life was at a slow pace.
That's true too.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I always look at these movies because I typically watch them before you do. It's very rare that like, especially when it's one that none of us have seen, I'm like, oh, is he gonna hate this or is he gonna love it? And usually when I think you're gonna despise it, you're neutral about it. So I don't even know why I tried to form an opinion anymore.
Well, and it could have had a lot to do with the fact that like I watched it piece by piece throughout the day, and it wasn't like I didn't sit down and I wasn't like, no part of me was excited to watch it. I wasn't like dreading it, but it wasn't like something a movie I had heard a shitload about or anything. So I think there's just a lot that went into it that it was very neutral
and apparently
about it.
there's like 6 Alone in the Darks. There's many movies with this name. There's one in 2005. There's like one in 2007.
That's something I wanted to talk about. The one in 2005 is based off the video games. The video games came out after this one and have nothing to do with this movie. Because I remember playing the games when I was a kid.
Yeah. I knew the title sounded familiar, but I just thought it was like a play on words that, is
but it's
very common.
also like a very, like, it's not like a super intelligent or a super thought-provoking title.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you said, like, well, I don't want to be alone in the dark?
Many a times.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's just a phrase that you've said a lot and you've probably heard a lot, and I really want to play with the first Alone in the Dark.
There's a lot of familiarity to it. But since we have gone through that, let's get to questions of the damned. All right, Daniel.
What's going on? Let's do it.
Jack Shoulder was inspired by what writer when he himself was writing this script? Look, these movies are a little tough to get questions from, but it's going to get progressively easier the farther I get into the future. Charles Bukowski, R.D. Lang, or Hunter S. Thompson?
R.D. Lang. Sounded like a writer's name.
All 3 of those are writers.
You know that R.D. Lang is a comedian, right? Not R.D. Lang, but
Yeah,
R.D.
I know.
Lang. Yeah.
R.D. Lang, but this is like R.D.
I had to, when he said it, I was
the way
like,
you put it, I'm like, I could see that on a book. It says R.D. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, all 3 of them are writers. But good guess. That was
Righteous
impressive.
Dick Lang.
Sure,
Sorry.
man. No, you're good. You're good. All
What's
right,
his ghostwriter name?
Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Bunky's boyfriend was almost played by which actor? Matthew Broderick, Tom Cruise, or Johnny Depp?
82. So Johnny Depp wasn't in Nightmare on Elm Street yet. So that could be it. Was it Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, or who?
Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp,
Tom Hanks.
Matthew
Sorry.
Broderick.
Fuck.
Just see him doing like Wilson type stuff.
He's dancing on a keyboard.
I'm gonna go with Johnny Depp. Fuck her in the pussy.
I love that guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
What's my choices?
Fuck her in the pussy.
Fuck her in the pussy.
Matthew Broderick, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp. Matthew Broderick is Ferris Bueller. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. Johnny Depp is
I think it's
Johnny Depp.
Matthew Broderick.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. Because
Huh.
I think Tom Cruise is too high profile.
Not in 1982.
Yeah.
He still had fucking crooked teeth in 1982.
I don't know, but I feel like he...
It was before he
you-
found Xenu.
Has he ever been in a horror movie?
Who? What?
Like, has he ever, besides the recent Mummy thing, like, has he ever been in, like, something that's, like, kind of like that?
Tom Cruise?
Yeah,
No,
it's
I don't
dark,
think so.
It's more dark.
Dark? Yeah, he's done a lot of dark films, but like horror, I would not say that he's been in a horror film, to my knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, other than the Mummy, that's the only thing I can think
That's
of.
not scary. But no, Matthew Broderick literally had the role, but the director deemed him too like popular. They're just like, yeah, no, you're too popular.
Interview with a Vampire, but it's not
No,
really
yeah, that's
horror, but
Yeah,
it's
I guess.
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
mean-
horror. I think that's
I
it.
mean,
I
actually,
guess he does that. He would, I guess, kill somebody.
that's actually a good call because not to deviate,
That was
but
a pretty damn good movie. I like that.
that's a great movie.
Never seen it.
But his character scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
I mean, does that teeth thing?
Just in general. What was the name of the band the Potters go to see? The Sick Fucks, Nicky Nothing and the Hives, or Richard Bush and the Lions Choir?
It's not the last one. What's the first two?
The Sick Fucks, Nicky
ass.
Nothing,
Sorry.
Nicky Nothing and the Hives.
I would go with the middle one. Nicky Nothing and the Hives.
It's the sick fucks.
I knew it wasn't the last one because you said Richard Bush.
Fuck, I didn't realize that you would realize that.
You know who the fuck? I know who that is.
Shit.
Dick Bush? You know a guy named Dick Bush?
Yeah.
No, Richard Bush.
Well, his name is Richard Bush.
Is the
Well,
singer in her dad's band?
Yeah, and Richard Bush was and the Lions
Oh.
Choir was a band my dad was in like 1981.
That's actually a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
That's a great name, but why don't you just fucking give him the trophy?
I didn't realize that he
I
would
still
know
got
that.
it wrong. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought it was the second one because I didn't think.
Stop defending your wife.
I didn't think they would do the. I thought the sick
Listen,
fucks.
He
would be
fucking
too
never
hardcore.
defends me.
That's very true.
Never defends me. All right, Matthew. What town does Ronald, aka Fatty, claim to be from when questioned by Lila? Springfield, Springwood, or Springton?
Springwood.
Very good. That is the same town as Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
Yep.
All right, Daniel. Last question. This was the first feature film of what production house? New Line Cinema, Touchstone, or MGM?
Fuck, I was not paying attention to
It's really unfortunate because they plastered it twice.
that. MGM.
Do you want me to repeat them?
Yeah, please.
New Line Cinema, Touchstone, or MGM? For the win.
Are we tied right now?
You are tied right now.
Yeah,
Shit.
could be bonus round.
I do have a bonus question.
Okay. New Line or Touchstone?
Touch me.
It was a creep. I'm feeling the tension, the suspense.
I have fucking no clue.
See, he didn't pay attention either.
New Line.
For the win.
I'm gonna go stand in the corner now.
Oh, Matt with the win again.
Ah, good thing we got like 30 more.
We do. We have plenty more, so don't worry.
I could make a comeback, everybody.
Don't call it a comeback.
It could happen.
It could happen. Oh my God. All right. So Matt is our reigning victor of this week's Questions of the Damned. We are now moving on to the final segment of the show, Yay, Nay, or Slay. I'm going to give this one, I'm going to go yay. I was on the fence with like a yay, nay, but I'm going to go with yay. It's the fourth choice
No, it's true.
It's the unspoken fourth choice, a Yane. Sitting down and actually talking about the movie made me like it a little bit more. Watching it, watching it in one sitting, I was kind of like meh about it. I don't know, maybe I was just in a mood, which I just tend to be in these days. But yeah, no, I think the story was really good. Definitely creepy slashers in it. You have these 4 very unique psychopaths. They all have their own different methods of killing and methods of infiltrating, and yeah, it's a unique film, definitely. And I would suggest that someone who wants to watch a movie that actually has a good storyline and mild gore and good scares to check it out. Dan, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with the Yane. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst.
So watch it, don't watch it, you don't care.
Yeah, pretty much. You said it.
I always say it. What about you, my friend?
Dude, I'm gonna agree with him. It's a Yane. It's like, it's not great. It's not terrible. It has like no relevance in like slasher pop culture, in my opinion.
It was definitely a weird one.
Yeah, I didn't even really know that this movie existed. Like, I'm sure I'd heard the name, but whatever.
It has a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's simple. It's a good name. So I'm not like against that. It's just, it's, if someone, it's usually what I go back to is if someone's like, I need a slasher movie. Alone in the Dark, 1982, probably not what I'm going to tell them to.
Yeah, the
watch.
one thing I expected definitely more gore, especially because like I tend to look at the poster of the film to kind of gauge where it's going to be, and it seemed like it was going to be a lot different.
It had a big build up. I thought, like you said, there'd be a lot more gore.
It just seemed more like psychological
or
scares.
more of a jump, scares.
Yeah.
To it at the end. They did kind of steal some of the music.
Oh yeah, they full on stole a John Carpenter theme. The dun
Really?
dun dun dun.
And they just threw something else.
Yeah,
in
they
it.
kind of just tossed something else in it they synthesized it up a little bit, and they kind of changed the format a little bit.
Yeah.
But I heard that, I looked at Dan, I'm like, oh, I didn't know Michael Myers was about to pop out. But it was when the guy was thrown through the window, I believe, because they had to block up the window.
To the wow.
To the wows.
Second time that song has come up in the past week with us.
Till Barrett comes through these walls. Brought it back around. Yeah, we have been talking about that song a lot this week. But it was a full-on ripoff of that song, 100,000%. And like we talked about in a previous episode, I believe Friday the 13th, is I genuinely don't know how they get away with stealing music that blatantly, but again, they did.
Copyright laws were a lot different back then.
True. And I did read when I was doing Questions of the Dan for this that they referenced something about like this was in the, I forget how they phrased it, something along the lines of like this was in the school of like Halloween 1978. Like basically Halloween 1978 was like their full on inspiration. They were riding those coattails still of like trying to revitalize like horror films and slasher and like come up with this really unique characters. And
they have Loomis
blah, blah,
in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they did steal Donald Pleasance, but he literally played Dr. Loomis until he died. That was Halloween 6 was his last role. And he even makes, if you want to even say, an appearance in Halloween H2O, even though it's just his picture.
Did you see that he's going to be in Halloween Kills?
How the fuck how?
Maybe extra.
He's been dead for 20 years.
They're using archive footage and CGI to make him have it. When I was looking up to see if it was really him, I stumbled on that.
Oh, it's probably for the flashbacks. I'm okay with that then. Don't fucking bring him back. Because
No. I completely agree. I just,
No, my mind went to like, I'm like, how the fuck?
He's in a futuristic fuck scene at one point.
He's got a twin.
I'm Dr. Loomis.
Ew. But no, yeah, because I know that they're doing a flashback to when Michael gets arrested. So
see, I didn't know that, so that makes a lot more sense.
They don't really show it because they do have that brief trailer for Halloween Kills, but if set photographs that were released show kids dressed
the robot
in...
of Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is mannequin. They show
the darkest of eyes.
they show Michael in his original jumpsuit and his original mask. He has no injuries, and you see kids with
Gotcha.
the old costumes on, it's like Lonnie and all that shit. And you see people in the Haddonfield Sheriff's Department outfits, and they have like 70s like waved hair and shit, and it's definitely them filming his arrest, because in that timeline Michael gets arrested and he is not, just disappears into the night. But I digress. We're not talking about that movie that I'm very, very excited about, that comes out in less than a year, hopefully. At this point, nah, bro, just release it digitally. Give it to me. You're already done filming. Just give it to me.
Well,
I'll pay.
it's gonna take.
But I'll pay.
It's gonna take a week to CGI Loomis dick into his
Why are you
futuristic
why?
fuck scene. I don't know, because it's funny to me.
Okay. You're the only one laughing, bro. Maybe. There might be some listeners that are laughing
No,
with
I know.
you.
Friend of the show, Seth, is gonna text me and be like, "What the fuck, man?"
Fuck is
And
wrong with you?
now this comes out in December. I'm gonna text this. It's gonna say, "What the fuck, man?" I'm gonna be like, "What are you talking about?"
I don't fucking listen to this show after I'm done recording it.
And he's getting better at it. Usually they come with context now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's all I asked for, a little context.
Yeah, Seth, when you text him, make sure you just add context to the Loomis fuck scene so he can remember from a conversation he had months prior. Which even then, it's a stretch.
I'm not browned out tonight, so you're good.
Matt, even when you're not browned out, you forget shit that I blatantly tell you to your face.
It's because I just don't like you, and talking to you makes me want to go to sleep.
And we know that's not true, as proven by the multiple podcasts that we've done together.
Well, you've promised me fame and fuck scenes.
Fame and no fortune.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Check out Alone in the Dark. It got kind of rave reviews from us. Thanks for listening. Hope the world isn't ending by now. So, see you on the next one, hopefully.
Bye.
Titty Tuesday.
Frank? Frank, do you have a minute?
I have years, Doctor.
You were pretty close to Harry Merton, weren't you?
Why?
Oh, Harry said you were. Have you been in contact with him at all since he left?
Why should I be?
Well, if you're friends, you want to stay in touch.
Ah, if we were friends, I suppose we might.
But you know where he is, though.
Someplace in Philadelphia. Look. I find this line of interrogation fairly meaningless. What is your point?
There's no point. Just wanted to touch base, that's all.
You know, you shouldn't take Ray Curtis too seriously, Doctor. He's not very reliable.
Well, why do you say that?
He's too high-strung. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad person. That's just his trip, like Bane says. Fatty's trip is to rape little girls. A preacher likes to set fire to churches. That's his trip. Unfortunately, he does it when there are people inside. I'm here because I enjoy the social life. There are no crazy people, Doctor. We're all just on vacation.